Welcome into Seahawks Today. I am your host, Will Ortner, and the Seattle Seahawks have a lot of key injury news going into this week against the Minnesota Vikings that we need to discuss, and there's 5 key players that we got to dive into what their injury news is right now for the Seahawks, but more importantly, what the outlook is for them, not only going into this week against the Vikings, but throughout the rest of the season for your Seattle Seahawks. The first key piece of injury news is Zabel and his knee. Now, the rookie left guard from North Dakota State obviously suffered a scary knee injury against the Rams. Everyone, myself included, was worried that he might not be able to go against the Tennessee Titans. In fact, you were worried. I was worried that his season might be done. Good news, ends up not being done. And then all of a sudden, Thursday, he's out running at practice. Friday, hey, he's questionable, but he's probably going to be able to go. He goes in, has a great performance against the Tennessee Titans, balls out in this game. Now, there were a couple of missed blocks here or there, but frankly, Zabel being able to go was massive for the team, and I'm not the only person that thinks so. We'll get into Mike Macdonald's quote here in just a moment, but I do want to let you know that you need to subscribe to the channel. Why? Because it is free. We have you covered with all your Seattle Seahawks news, and most importantly, as soon as news breaks, we make a video. Zabel's news broke that he was going to be good and ready to go for this game against the Titans, or that his season wasn't done with the knee injury. Guess who had a video out on the channel? This guy. So make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss any of the news or anything else like that. So when it came to what Mike Macdonald had to say on Zabel, I think it perfectly illustrates what he is as a player and honestly who he is as a man. Macdonald said this: "I'll tell you what, this guy is unbelievable. He wanted to go against their front, and I mean, what else can you say about the guy? Just elite competitor, tough as crap. Yeah, we love him. It felt like he played really good football too. So happy for him." Zabel should be good to go. I don't think we're going to have to worry about his knee. I mean, watching the plays that he had out on the field today, I felt like he played pretty darn well. I should say not today, on Sundays when he played, but he looked good. He looked serviceable. Yeah, he might have missed a block here or there. Simons is a good player. The Titans, yeah, their defense isn't great. Their defensive line isn't full of a bunch of slappies. Like, Zabel looked good. And it's such a deep sigh of relief on a Monday after last Monday, worrying that his season might be done, to say, I don't think we're going to have to worry too much about Zabel missing anytime soon. The next key injury that you have is for safety Ty Okada. Now, he ended up having to leave this game with a core injury. The Montana State grad has been absolutely massive for the Seahawks. Ever since Julian Love went down, Okada's been filling in that strong safety position. And take out the Tampa Bay game, because the Tampa Bay game was rough. That was his first real start, if I remember correctly. But he's been pretty darn good for you. He's top 5 on your team right now in tackles. He's made a couple of big plays, forcing turnovers, getting pass knockdowns. And while he does struggle at times, missing certain tackles, those broken tackles or missed tackles are becoming smaller and smaller every single week. And so getting Okada back for the long run is going to be a big deal for Seattle, especially when you don't truly know what's going to be the case or what's going to be happening with Julian Love. And we'll get more into that here in just a moment. But losing Okada could be massive. It could be a gigantic blow for the Seahawks, because now you're not on your second string safety. You're on your third string safety. Now, don't get me wrong, Bell played pretty well in relief. I thought that he came in and he had a good showing. But there's a big difference between your first string guy and your second string guy. Well, there's an even bigger difference between your second string guy and your third string guy. There'd be a question, too, on if Love and Okada aren't able to go. Do you move Nick Emmanwori back into that role? Right now, he's dealing with that oblique injury. It is a core injury. We'll see if it ends up keeping him out for any long periods of time. Only kept Derek Hall out, similar type of injury, 2 to 3 weeks. Hopefully, it's the same thing for Ty Okada. Hopefully, it's even less. Now we're getting over to Julian Love. He is eligible to return from the IR, still dealing with that hamstring injury. I do think it's important to note, though, that multiple times this year we've been told that Julian Love was going to come back. You're going to look at his stats and say, wow, his numbers are very down this year. Well, remember, he's only really played in 2.5 games for the Seahawks, and even in the games that he has played, he's, well, been hamstrung. not to really dive into that too much, but it's clear that Seattle's main focus is not on getting Julian Love back on the field. It's getting him back on the field at 110% health, because you will need him in the long run. With how well this defense has been playing, imagine what they'll be when they get their all-pro strong safety back. Mike Macdonald had this to say on Julian Love in his return. We'll see. He's got a process that we've got to go through, like we've got to take it day by day. We're hopeful, but part of the reason of putting him on IR and taking this time is to ensure when he comes back that he's ready to go and he can rip it the way that he plays. We're not asking second questions. We want to make sure he's ready to go. So after hearing that from Macdonald, what's your gut reaction? Are you nervous with the injuries for the Seahawks at that safety position? Rank it 1 to 12 right now in the comments. I think if you were going to get my ranking, I'm probably saying I'm at a 8.5. And then depending on the long-term possibilities of how long Okada could be out, it could end up going into that 11 or 12 range for Seattle. Not that Bell's a bad safety, but just whenever you're on your third string guy, that can always be tough. All right. We do have to get into the two biggest injuries, I would say, or the biggest injury ramifications that the Seahawks are dealing with here in just a moment. But before we do, I need to let you know about my good friends over at PrizePicks. It is the holiday season, the best time of year for sports, bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It is all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there's one place where it feels good to be right. PrizePicks. New feature alert. PrizePicks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. On PrizePicks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. No matter your play, PrizePicks is a great way to put your takes to the test. I have a 2-pick Power Play for this weekend's action. Travis Kelce, twin, more on his receiving yards. JSN, more on his receiving yards as well. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. All right. Ernest Jones and his knee. I think starting off the week, myself and a lot of other big Seahawk fans, Seahawk media members said, Ernest Jones practiced on Wednesday, full participant. He's going to be good to go. Don't even have to worry about it. He dodged a major knee injury, only ended up having to miss one game. He's going to be perfectly fine. And then he was a limited participant, and then he didn't participate, and then he didn't play against the Tennessee Titans. Ernest Jones is your big dog right now in the middle. He's not only leading your team in tackles, he's also one of your top interception guys on the year. In fact, he might be the top interception guy if I remember correctly. He's had a fantastic year as the green dot for the Seahawks, and you can really tell there is a difference in emotion how this team plays when he's in and when he's not. Now, I'm not saying that Drake Thomas and Patrick O'Connell did not have a good showing against the Tennessee Titans, but I do have to think that if Ernest Jones is out there as the QB spy on Cam Ward, he would not have been able to use his legs the way that he did against the Seahawks, and you would have seen a lot more of those backyard plays end up with more sacks for Seattle. Now, I do hope that this, and I believe that this is precautionary. I think the Seahawks looked at the Tennessee Titans and said, we're going to win that game. And they looked at Ernest Jones and they said, hey, man, your knee's beat up a little bit, but do we really need you to win this game? No, not necessarily. We're going to let you take a week to rest, recover. You're having some flare-ups. We want you down for the stretch run. We need you for the Colts game. We need you for the Rams game. And we need you for those final two against the Panthers and against the 49ers. So you can take a week off against Tennessee, maybe even take a partial week off against the Minnesota Vikings in this upcoming week to get healthy. That's what I hope. That's what I believe. I think as more information comes out this week, we're going to see where Ernest Jones truly does land. But I do think that this was more of a precautionary thing as opposed to a Julian Love, Devin Witherspoon early in the week or early in the year situation where, hey, they come back for a game and then you don't see him for another month. I don't think that we're there yet with Ernest Jones. I do need to ask for your help as, we are trying to catch up to the other chat sports channels that are ahead of us here at Chat Sports. Right now, the Dolphins Today show. They are the next channel that we have to reel in, bring down, catch up to. They're just about 2,100 subscribers ahead of us on Seahawks Today. We just got to that 76K mark. Thank you guys again for all of your help. We're trying to reel in the Dolphins by the end of the year. I think it's possible. I think we can do it. Help us out. Subscribe to the channel. And if you know a friend who needs to join in on the Seahawks fun because they're a big fan of Seattle, send this video over to them and tell them to subscribe to the channel as well. The last key injury news, it broke over the weekend. Tory Horton, he's on the IR. Been dealing with a groin and shin injury. It's kept him out of the last couple of weeks. It was going to keep him out of the Titans game, and now it's going to keep him out for the next 4 weeks. Seattle officially placed the rookie wide receiver on IR. He's not going to be available again to play for you until week 16 against the Los Angeles Rams. Now, what's tough and difficult about this for Horton is just because he might be able to come back against the Rams doesn't mean that he will be able to come back against the Rams. I do think that this is a option for Seattle where they're saying, hey, we keep trying to rush Horton back, or Horton keeps trying to rush himself back. He's not ready to go yet. Why don't we have him go on IR, take the next 4 weeks, rest, recover, heal up, be ready to go, so that way he can hit the ground running when he does come back. And it also shows you how big of a deal that Rashid Shaheed trade was, because he has clearly jumped into that role that Tory Horton was going to have. And I do think actually that Shaheed can really exemplify that role and take that role to the next level. You've seen a couple times now for the Seahawks that Sam and Shaheed are just a second off. Shaheed's just a little bit faster than what Darnold's used to, and so you've missed a big play in now the Titans game and in that Rams game with Shaheed by mere inches. And that's just because Darnold's a little late getting the ball to Shaheed. He's so fast. There's a reason why he has a need for speed. But I do think that the more and more that Darnold and Shaheed work out together, throw the ball to each other, you're going to see them get on the same page, and you're going to see that big, gigantic explosion. And I can't wait to see what this offense looks like when Shaheed and Tory Horton are on the field at the same time. Hopefully we get to see that on week 16, but don't be shocked if you don't see it until week 17 or week 18. Here are your key injuries for the Seahawks. We went through it. You got some good news around Zabel. Okada, we're still kind of in a holding pattern. Same thing with Julian Love. We know what's going to be going on with Ernest Jones, we know what's going on with Tory Horton. We're still kind of in a holding pattern with Ernest Jones. We believe we know what's going on with Ernest Jones. Just know that if you follow me over at social media at Will Ortner on Instagram and on Twitter, the minute any news breaks about any of those injuries for Ty Okada, for Julian Love, for Ernest Jones, Tory Horton, or whoever else is on the Seattle Seahawks, I'm going to be posting about it there first. You can actually head over today. I posted something about Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy and whether he'll be able to play or not. That's on my Twitter and on my Instagram. So go and give me a follow at Will Ortner. News breaks there first. Then I come to the channel and put those videos out for you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.